Hey guys, it's Charlie here, and today I'm going to show you how this beautiful beach here on the Black Sea in Bulgaria has formed. And yes, I'm taking time out of my holiday to do this for you guys. Beaches are quite a natural thing, formed over time by erosion, waves, and ever changing. We see it here in Bulgaria, along the coastline of America, and even at home in the UK. Though everywhere is slightly different. Partially because of this: the large and sprawling ocean and the winds over it. The winds create these waves that come into the water, that come into the beach, I should say, with swash, the movement into the beach. Backwash is when you see it move away like this. Now there's two types of waves you can get: constructive and destructive. These waves, in my opinion, are destructive, purely because of the amount of sediment taken away by the backwash that is very strong. That's constructive waves. Destructive waves. Constructive waves are when the swash is so strong that it pushes a large amount of sediment up towards the beach and not take it away. These obviously help to form the bay, a large area of very soft sand, because it is much more easily eroded than this, the headland. Hard rock that juts out to the sea, protecting the bay. Now the reason why the bay is circular is because as the waves move in, there's more space. They spread out and they push up the sediment in a semi or circular type way, forming it like this. Now, as for the headland, it's quite an interesting thing. It juts out, it's much harder rock than you would think it is, and takes much time to erode, though it does. The headland, if it was large enough, could one day form arches, stacks, and stumps. These are formed when the headland, like this, is pressured with erosion such as hydraulic action. Cracks in the headland or cliff, in other cases, are constantly battered by the water, and it will seep into certain cracks and imperfections within the rock. What then happens is, when the waters recede, the air quickly expands as it's been compressed, causing a miniature explosion. This will constantly happen until a cave begins to form. This will happen also on the other side of the headland, and then it will open up over time, creating the arch. However, even though an arch is quite powerful, it can't last forever due to weathering, when the weather, such as freeze-fall or the acidic rain, constantly peppers down on the rock and causes it to collapse. The water will then take in all the sediment, erode most of it, but leave two large structures most of the time. Stacks, such as Old Harry in Dorset, back in the UK. The stacks will stand tall for several hundred years until the waves constantly erode it, causing it to fall down, creating a stump. Eventually, because of the wave, this will eventually erode away. There's not much else to talk about headland, but I've already talked about one type of erosion, hydraulic action. Next comes abrasion with this rock, as you can see. Imagine this as almost like egging. It's constantly thrown at the rocks like this until it breaks away. We'll constantly do that, shipping at the sediment. Then there are others, but there's no need to go into too much detail. However, imagine if this coastline here was cliff. What happens when cliff erodes? I'll tell you, mass movement. Mass movement is the constant erosion of cliffs, and when the sediment finally breaks away in large chunks. There are 4 types: mud flow, rock slide, slumps, and rock fall, I'm pretty sure. If I've got that wrong, please correct me. Mud flows are perhaps the simplest. When the sediment becomes wet or moisturised, it slowly begins to go down the cliff side into the water. Rock fall is when it's chipped away ever slightly, and then the rocks, one by one, begin to fall down the cliff into the water. Rock slides are when blocks of sediment are taken away from the cliff and hurled down all at once, much larger. And then slumps is very much similar to all of these, but hard to explain. The next thing I need to talk about with you is deposition, when sand and other sediment is deposited on the beach like this here. However, there's another such thing you can have: longshore drift. Imagine the harbour over there. All the sand from the bay has actually moved, imagine, and gone outwards from that rock, from the rock. This is called longshore drift. The waves, like this, come in at a diagonal angle, like me running into this now, not straight on. The diagonal angle will push the waves and then bring back the sediment, moving it, constantly going back and forth, like a vacuum cleaner, almost. This will then deposit the sand around the headland as a spit. The spits can then carry on forming in several different ways. You can have a tombolo, which, no, it's not tombola bingo. It is when an island off of the coast is connected to the mainland through deposition. Or you can get bars, which is when, imagine this bay and headland completely blocking it off, forming a lagoon. And then that's all you can really get. Though this does cause problems. And there's not that many ways of stopping it, because it would cost too much money. One way of truly stopping this from constantly happening are groins put in place like barriers to stop sand from moving up and down the coastline. And that's about it, really. As you can see here, the seas are starting to rise most slightly, and that's another problem: sea level rising. Of course, we know this can be caused over the next 50 so years and can cause massive amounts of problems. Though for this video, I don't have to go into it in that much detail. Another thing I could really talk about is the erosion of the sand. Over time, there are several ways that the water can erode it. It can and travel through the waves. The waves can simply just pick it up and travel, and over time, this will cause attrition when the rocks start to bash against each other, smoothing up from what they would normally be, creating smaller and smoother particles. Yeah. And then that will end up being deposited here. Or the waves being slightly acidic, which works very well on chalk, like most of the cliffs are in Britain. It can just simply erode it away and dissolve it into the water. Or finally, it could just take the large amount of sediment too big to wash in the waves and just roll it along the surface with gravity. Thanks for watching this video, and sorry it was so long. But Charlie Twins in 918.